What if the chaos you're feeling right now isn't something to fight, but something to rise above? What if ease isn't something you earn after the breakthrough, but something you access in the middle of the storm? My guest today says ascendancy is not a metaphor. It's a shift in frequency. And when you shift, your business shifts with you too. That's today on WooBiz. Hello and welcome to WooBiz. I'm Andy Walker. And if rising above chaos and finding ease on demand sounds appealing, like I said in the cold open, this episode is for you. Today we're diving into spiritual ascendancy and why it may be one of the most practical tools you can bring into your business and your life right now. Psychic medium Dr. Loren Cielo returns to the show. He was here on episode 9 if you want to look up a previous episode. And he's going to unpack what ascendancy means, not as an abstract philosophy, but as something you can apply to your leadership, your decision-making, your creativity, and the way you navigate uncertainty, and there's plenty of that around these days. This is a heady and at times truly metaphysical conversation, paired with a powerful and immersive meditative exercise towards the end of the episode. And Dr. Cielo is simply one of my favorite guests. He has a way of making expansive spiritual ideas feel accessible, grounded, and genuinely useful. We explore what it means to raise your frequency without bypassing reality. We talk about why holding a higher vibration can create ease in the middle of a crisis. And we walk through a guided alignment practice that connects you and your business or your life or anything that you do from day to day to your next level, whatever you want. If you're building something in a world that feels unstable, this conversation will resonate. It did for me. And before we get started, a quick ask from me. WooBiz is growing, and most of that growth comes from listeners like you sharing the show. If you have a friend, colleague, or a family member who would love this episode, please send them a link. A personal recommendation makes a real difference, and I would really appreciate it. Anyway, let's get into it. Well, hello, Loren. It's so lovely to see you. Thanks for coming back to the show.
Andy, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You know, I want to share with you that the last time you were with us, which is going back just before the holidays, your show has been, I think it's the number one most, in fact, it is the number one most listened to version of WooBiz so far. So clearly you resonate with people.
I think when I first started doing interviews like this, it was surprising. I'm grateful. I think that might be it. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, no, I get that. And so our mutual friend, actually a student of yours, Kelly, had said to me, hey, can you get Loren back on? I really want to hear him talk about ascendancy and spiritual ascendancy. And it's a concept that's fairly new to me. As you know, I've only been on my intuitive journey for about a year or so. But it starts to make a ton of sense to talk about this now, because as people start to develop, they start to see the value of being highly intuitive and to sometimes skew towards intuition over logic. And even though perhaps you have the label, the logical psychic, clearly you have become ascendant. So let's start with a definition. What do you see as spiritual ascendancy? What does that mean for you?
Well, I think we need to talk in both worlds, the real world, the astral plane, and therefore our higher self, and then this reality, the earth plane. And when I say the earth plane, what I'm talking about is everything that was created in the Big Bang. So if we were Martians, we would call it the Martian plane or the Mars plane. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
the whole universe is what I'm talking about. Okay. So let's start over in the real world. So there's levels to the astral. They have different frequencies. And your higher self can go anywhere it wants to, but it tends to have an affinity for a certain level. So if we're talking about soul ascension, what we're saying is that our higher self all of a sudden feels comfortable and moves up a level on the astral.
Mhm.
Now, what would a higher self do to feel more comfortable at a higher level? Well, it would practice.
Mhm.
So it practices by incarnating in these virtual realities that are at that frequency. I always say this, it's like doing a jet simulator, right? You practice and you crash the jet over and over and over. And then finally, when you master it, you get into the real jet. So that's the typical thing that happens on the astral. Higher selves ascend up the astral by practicing playing video games.
Mhm.
So, and that's, you know, it's hard for us to conceive that our higher selves exist there forever. I know our little brains can't quite understand that. And I also feel they have day jobs. Besides just incarnating, they're doing something. And I've tried to wrap my head around it, and I'm just not sure I can understand. I've asked for, show me what it's like. I don't think I'll finally get it until I'm out of Loren and back over there. So
Right.
so that's soul ascension. Now let's talk about the earth plane ascension. And there's all kinds of really complex definitions of it. But me, I'm very practical. I think maybe the practical psychic might be a good title too. But really, basically, what's happening is our Earth and our solar system and our galaxy are moving into a new place in space,
Mhm.
and that place has a higher frequency. So
Mhm.
it's not so basically, if you stay on Earth long enough, you are going to ascend.
Right.
Of course, what that means again is frequency going higher.
Right.
Now, I kinda mentioned the what I feel is the kind of more of the rule of thumb on the astral where higher selves wanna go higher, so they incarnate higher. Well, everybody listening to this did the opposite. Our
Right.
higher selves vibrate high, and it has incarnated down low. So, this reality is much lower than our natural frequency. And the reason that we're all here is because we're helping pull the frequency up on the earth plane. So
Uh-huh.
I call us light workers. That I kind of put it under a big umbrella called light workers. And one of the results of that is what I call soul sadness. So, we find ourselves in a reality that well, I know I don't have to I'm preaching to the choir here, right? You look out and see what other Homo sapiens are doing it, and you just can't believe it. You're like, "Man, these people are a bunch of animals," you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Mhm.
And really, the goal of the light worker is to not drop its frequency to the rest of the population, but to keep it high. So,
Mhm.
and that happens in all kinds of ways. You with this show, for example, me and my business, Golden Rose. So when we start paying attention to current events, which I'm gonna segue into here in just a minute,
Mhm.
um, and if it's bringing our frequency down, we're doing not just ourselves a disservice, but the entire ascension process. We have to kind of keep ourselves cleaned off and vibrating high. And again, there are people who have different contracts for the ascension. Think of like journalists or ACLU attorneys, right? They're in there fighting in the trenches. A lot of protesting right now, right? But for me, that drops my frequency. It puts me into
Mhm.
resistance to something, and I
Mm.
prefer to to do it from a spiritual perspective. And that doesn't mean I don't get fussy about what's happening. Of course I do.
Sure.
But when I catch myself, then I have to come back and go, wait a minute. I'm not here to drop my frequency down. I'm here to raise it all up.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives us a good understanding of the ascension process on the astral and the ascension process on Earth. But I do wanna talk about this real quick.
Mhm.
So what happens if you fully ascend while you're incarnated?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What what would that experience be like?
Yeah.
Well, what it would entail is that you instantly wake up and you realize that this isn't real. This is not real. This is a virtual playground.
Yeah.
And if you internalize that so much, you might be like a Buddha figure. When Buddha, he almost starved to death. He gave away all of his earthly possessions, lived in a cave or something like that, and stopped eating, right? And so you realize that it's not worth it. Maybe nihilism even maybe borders on that.
Mhm.
I also think that sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, is a good example of somebody ascending right away and going, "What? No way. I'm not playing this game. I'm out of
Right.
here." Right?
It's like pulling the ejection seat. I'm out of here. I'm pulling right? Forget it. Right.
Yeah. So so I guess what that tells us is, yes, all probably everybody that's listening to this realizes that this isn't a real reality and that our true nature is a consciousness that lives on the astral. So we're semi ascending, but we still have work to do here by holding the high vibration as the light workers. Okay,
Mhm.
so now that we've talked about all that, what do you need to do to
Yeah,
ascend?
that would be the most
Right.
logical, because what I'm hearing that you're saying is there's two levels, or there's two types of, or two ways to measure ascendancy. One is as a human race here on, like, as a group of people on the earth plane, we're trying to ascend as humanity, right? So and our contribution individually is to ascend ourselves such that we can boost the overall group. And we do that by raising our
Right.
vibration and by, as you said, staying in would it be I'm not sure if it's the positive, but just trying to operate from a place of happy joy and avoiding things like anger, grief, sadness, guilt, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Would it be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would say maybe not avoid those lower we call 'em lower frequencies of
Hmm.
anger, depression, sadness, but to acknowledge them and release them as they
Mm,
come up. Instead of
right.
just going, "Blah, blah, blah, this isn't happening to me. I don't feel this way," right?
Right.
I think that because really to move to the next dimension, if we wanna call it that, I'm not so sure I understand the dimensions word, but
Mm,
anyway, we'll use it for the sake of ease. So to move from so we live in a three-dimensional reality, right? If anybody's
mhm.
ever bought anything at IKEA, you know the 3 dimensions. You're trying to fit that dresser
Yes.
into your yeah, so
Right.
height, length, width, and depth, right? So, the 4th dimension is time. So if we were to look out into the universe and want to get our bearings, we could put in some random place the coordinates of 0, 0, 0. And so if you move to the side of that, it becomes 1, 0, 0. If you move
Mhm.
forward, it becomes 1, 1, 0. If you move up, it's 1, 1, 1. So we could plot the whole universe, the whole space in some type of coordinate system.
Right.
But when is a heavenly body going to be at that place? So that's the 4th dimension is time. So what we're doing is we're moving through the 4th dimension to get to the 5th dimension. And
Mm.
what is the 5th dimension?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's what's next, or it is. Yeah.
It's
Maybe,
yes,
maybe,
isn't it?
maybe it's the timelessness. I mean, you hear about, like, you hear about some experts, they'll talk about when they talk to spirit, that spirit says, well, time is different on the next plane, right? It is.
You
So maybe it's a timelessness is the fifth dimension, or that place where the physical and and the timeline doesn't matter because you are always there wherever that is.
yeah. It's so funny you'd say that because a few days ago, I had this, I would call it a mental image picture. You might call it an idea, but
Mhm.
I
Uh,
was thinking of my higher self, looking into this reality at a certain place. And you might think of that as a GPS coordinate on the earth, right?
mhm.
Okay. And then I had this realization that it could flip through that position through time. Almost like, okay, here's this place. I can look at it from before. I can look at it in the future. I can still looking at that one place. So I'm starting to wrap my head around, I think, what that astral experience might be like. So for the sake of our ascension while we're incarnate,
Mhm.
the fit because the 4th dimension is time and the planet itself is moving into a new place in space.
Mhm.
That's all we need is time.
Mhm.
That's all you have to do. Stay on this rock long enough and you'll ascend. But
Yeah,
the but the personal experience of it is releasing all of those lower vibrating frequencies that you were talking about.
right. Yes, absolutely. Okay, and so let's talk about the logic and the practicality of this. So what is the advantage to, and we'll talk about training ascendancy or training to become ascendant shortly. But what is the advantage to me if I'm operating in my life and I want to ascend? What's the selling point? Why would I want to do the work to ascend? What is the value to me personally and maybe the greater value as well?
Yeah. Well, my main guide, Ankayaya, I always talk about him on all the interviews. He always tells me, Lauren, you can have the brick or you can have the feather because one way or another, you're going. So you can have it easy or you can really, really make it hard for yourself.
Yeah.
And as we look out at our brothers and sisters on the planet, we can see those that are making it really hard on themselves.
Yeah.
We saw it at the beginning of COVID, people freaking out instead of just kind of going, okay, okay, I can adjust, right?
Yeah.
So the personal benefit is ease,
Ease. Yeah.
right? The more we give up, a lot of times when I'm grounding myself, and we're going to do that, I know we're going to do a little exercise. One of the things I keep saying to myself is give way. And what I'm saying, my intention is to just give way to the new frequencies coming in. Let go of the old ones and just let it. It's nothing I need. It's almost like a vacuum, right? If I pull out all of the low vibrating things and put it down into Mother Earth, it's like higher energy just comes in.
Mm.
You don't. I think this is true about long distance running as well. That if you breathe out hard and then just open your mouth, the natural state of your lungs is inflated. So you don't have to inhale, it just goes in,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of that same principle. Yeah.
So,
So
so
I
you're
would,
clearing the negative and allowing the positive and the energetic and the higher frequency to come in because it just is, because there's a vacuum there. Yeah.
yep,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. And the lower frequencies and the higher frequencies are like oil and vinegar. They don't mix.
no. No. Well, you can't be happy and angry at the same time, right?
Exactly.
It's one or the other, or you can't be guilty and carefree. I mean, you're right. It's like, it's not possible for those two things to fill the same space at the same moment, which is fascinating.
Definitely. And one of the main focuses of your podcast is business,
Hmm.
right? So if you were to use some of these techniques of personal ascension, kind of riding the tails of the planet's ascension, how does that translate into how your business
That's right.
operates and will change over time?
No.
So we've kind of talked about, again, the astral ascension and the earth ascension, but, energetically with ourselves. But I'm the kind of psychic that likes to ground things into the earth plane. That's what I
Mhm.
call it. To give you something you can really use.
Mhm.
So I'd like to kind of take us back in time, right?
Okay.
Homo sapiens have been on this planet for 300,000 years. And I have to tell you, the first time I started talking about this, it was 150,000 years ago. So our scientists have traced our roots back even
Even
further. So
further.
depending
Mm.
on when you're hearing this, it might be even longer, right?
Right.
So for 300,000 years, we've been here. Most of that was hunting and gathering. And then about 10,000 BC, that's when we started farming. And then
Mhm.
that's when everything changed. Once we left that natural state of being in harmony with the earth, moving with the herds, not polluting. Basically, we wouldn't stay in one place long enough to pollute it, right? We might tear down the trees and, you know, poop a little bit, but then we'd move on and let that part, regenerate. So it wasn't until agriculture is when society really changed because people owned property and that property had to be passed down. So this is when the big change came to the patriarchy is what we call it now. So, and I think the maybe the earliest signs of the patriarch about 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, according to the archaeologists. I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was a kid, so I love archaeology.
I got yeah.
So, fast forward, right? Well, of course, we've left the farming. We went into, the Industrial Revolution, and and then now we're in the tech and information era. So I have to tell you, Andy, I have my little Echo set up in the morning to when I say good morning, it'll tell me this day in history,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So I did that one morning, and it said that the big oil boom, the thing that took us from coal to the oil, happened in Texas. There was this big oil spout. It was in 1901,
Wow.
and my brain was like, "Are you kidding me? That's like 125 years ago."
Yeah, it's nothing.
In 125 years, we have polluted our planet to the point where we're having extinction events.
Yeah.
So just think 3,000 years, 10,000 BC, we changed a little bit more. Now in 125 years, right? So, and that's the acceleration of the ascension.
Mm.
So, so it can't last. And we all know we're right on the edge in
Oh,
many,
yeah.
many,
Yeah.
right? So there's this one newsletter I subscribe to, and I wanted to mention it's called Age of Transformation.
Okay.
It's by Nafaz Ahmed. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Google Age of Transformation. And he's a systems analyst, among other things. So he studies systems.
Yeah.
And there's 4 phases of every system. And guess what? We're on the last one where everything crashes and
Uh-oh.
gets rebuilt.
Uh-oh,
Right.
yeah.
So I'm not saying that to scare you, but
Mhm.
what I'm implying is if we keep ourselves and our businesses set to that next step ascension energy, right? Then no matter what, let's say we don't have money anymore, everything's not oil based anymore. I know in our short lifetimes, we cannot understand what that life would be like, but it's coming. I mean, maybe not, maybe I'll be off the planet by the time it happens, but certainly you've got some young entrepreneurs out there that, and it doesn't mean to, I'm not saying it to scare you. I'm
Okay.
saying get on the forward lean. You know, our higher selves didn't have us incarnate to get our butts kicked. Everybody that's listening to this, you are a light worker and you are here to raise the frequency. So keep yourself and your business right at a half step higher of what's happening. And what that will do, and again, we'll do the energy work, but what that will do, your personal experience of that is kind of what we were talking about before we got on, Andy, about I just had this really great idea.
Mhm.
Like, all of a sudden, I'm just gonna do this with my business. And so it's just a natural progression.
Right. So you can bring ascendancy into your business. I suppose this is sort of the same thing as if you're talking about creating a conscious business, a business that does good in the world, that raises the value of being human, that helps people, that causes goodness, as opposed to hurting people or polluting the planet or causing whatever misery it could cause. Right. So, I mean, I guess that's sort of the short version of bringing ascendancy into your business is looking for things that make the world a better place. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be done all energetically. And when you and your business match the next step energy, the ideas and the opportunities just flow in.
Hmm. Interesting. All right. So then how do we get there? So is there an audit process so we can do, or are there some fundamental basic things we can do? We'll do the exercise in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to ask you
Yeah,
that before we jump into it. Like,
yeah,
what is my checklist? And obviously you and I are doing the work in the sense that we're studying intuition. We're bringing ourselves to the work every day as light workers. We're trying to cause greatness in the world, greatness in ourselves. But I mean, what's what are the 3 things, the 5 things that I need to do to to ensure that I'm working towards ascendancy?
yeah. Well, I think some of them might be emotional, some of them might be mental, and some of them might be physical, and some of
Right.
them might be energetic and spiritual. So we
Right.
kind of take all of them into account. So I would say probably one thing you want to start watching is where you are.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is, for me, I have to tell you this story. So I was driving, probably home from the gym, listening to NPR, and I'm thinking, okay, when I get home, I got to do this, I got to put in laundry, I got to do, and coming through my stream of consciousness, whoever speaking, who's ever being interviewed on the radio, and all of a sudden I heard come crashing in. 80% of our thoughts are about the future, and I was like, oh my God, I was
Wow.
just doing that, So
Yeah.
universe is saying, stay right here, right now.
Oh,
Right here. This is where it's happening. I know as an entrepreneur, I'm always like, okay, what am I going to plan for next month? What am I going to do next quarter? What am I going to do next year? Right. And I'm not saying not to do that, but as much as you can. So let's say I am going to plan for next year. Okay, I'm going to sit down right now and I'm planning for next year. And now I'm done planning for next year, and I'm going to come back right here, right now. You know, there's a saying, as above, as below. Probably anybody hearing me speak has heard that phrase before. And
sure.
we did mention it, that our higher self doesn't have time. So what if there was just one sustained moment and we could be right here, right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
right? So So watch what you're thinking. Definitely if you're thinking pessimistic thoughts, right? And I
Yes.
and I'm not saying just this kind of borders on Esther and Abraham Hicks, which I absolutely love, but one of their techniques is if you're having a low vibrating thought, reach for a higher one. And I would agree with that, but you've got to release the lower one.
Okay.
Again, you don't wanna be the turkey in the corner going, "I don't see anything, I don't hear anything," right? It's like, "Oh, no, I just found some low vibrating thoughts, images, feelings, and I need to energetically release them." To me, it's all about energy work because the energy that's in our body chakras and aura creates what we're thinking, what we're feeling. So it's easier just to cut to that chase. So I would say energy work is number 1,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be complicated. It's basically what I call energetic respiration. It's exhaling the low and inhaling the high, right? And just working on it every day. It doesn't have to be arduous, and it should be something that you look forward to. Like, if you haven't brushed your teeth, if you've been camping and couldn't brush your teeth, you're like, "Oh my god, it feels so good to brush my teeth," right? So, hopefully, your energy work feels like that instead of, "Oh gosh, I have to sit down here and close my eyes and do meditation again." So,
Yeah.
for me, it all stems from that. That's my go-to thing is energy work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like be present and then shift your thoughts when they go to the negative. It makes me think, actually, I was sharing last night in this meditation circle that I attend locally here. And, we were talking about the winter weather because, of course, you're in San Diego, so it's beautiful there. But here, we're dealing with, sub-zero temperatures and freezing temperatures and lots of snow. And we're just midwinter. And I hate the winter. I really do. But I've just chosen this year not to hate it. I've just chosen to engage it. And so I went out for a walk. We had a snowstorm. And instead of sitting at home and being miserable, I said, I put this giant snowsuit on that I zip up to my neck. It's a whole big green bodysuit. I look like an idiot, like a big green avocado. But I went, no, I'm going to go out. I'm going to engage it. And I walked for, 2.5 miles in the snowstorm. But it was lovely. But it was a choice that I had made because otherwise I'd be sitting at home going, okay, what rerun can I watch on TV and look out of the window and be sad. And I didn't want to do that. Right. And it
Yeah.
was a real epiphany for me. Now I try to live my life that way, but it's only something I've come to in the last few years. Right. Would that be a good example?
Yeah, I love that. That's a perfect example
Mm.
of really being right here, right now. What gifts has my higher self put into this moment?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a perfect example. And I'm so sorry about the frigid weather. I would crawl up in a ball and
Yeah. Well,
die.
one of these days going to come and I'm going to camp out on your doorstep so that we can spend some time together because goodness knows, I know San Diego's got gorgeous temperatures right now. So, and I covet it desperately. But anyway, I digress. So let's jump into a little exercise because that's always the high point of these. I know our listeners are listening and they love to hear those kinds of things. And so what do you
Okay,
got
yeah.
for us today?
Yeah. So Well, we're going to use a couple of our clair senses. We are going to use our clairvoyance. So you're going to see some imagery and color. You may get, and again, you and I were talking about this before we came on, you may get some hits in your crown chakra where you just all of a sudden have this great idea about your business or about yourself. You might be using your throat chakra where you hear maybe a mantra or some power keywords, like I like to call them, right? So we're going to do some real easy, basic stuff. And you don't need to take notes if you're listening to this. You can remember, it'll be super easy. And the magic about energy work is repetition. It's almost like like doing physical workouts, right? You don't get healthy by walking one day out of the month, right? You get healthy by walking every day or every other day. So, yeah.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's jump in. And now I guess we'll remind everybody that if you are driving and that you should pull over and do this or do this exercise later, because we don't want you to crash your car as we're trying to get you to ascend. But but that's the only caveat I want to put in. So otherwise, take it away, Loren.
You know what? You're so precognitive because I was just going to say that.
Good. Okay.
All right. Well, would you please close your eyes and take a deep cleansing breath? And then wherever you are, would you please move into the center of your head, right behind your eyes? Just be present in the center of your head. And then I'm so lazy, so we're going to make this really easy. Would you please call into the room your highest and best guides and angels? And as they move from the astral plane into the room, would you have them shift the energy in there? They're going to remove energies that you're not going to play with or might be in the way. And then they'll add back energies that will really enhance your experience. Now, you may not know all of your guides and angels by name, but they know you. Would you ask them to form a circle around your aura facing you? Would you move your awareness from them to the space under your chair? Your first chakra is down there. It's shaped like an upside down tornado. You're sitting on the small part of the funnel. Off to the side of that spinning chakra, would you create a grounding cord? It's a hollow tube, about as big around as a dinner plate, and maybe you might make it some of your favorite colors and textures. And once you've created it, would you install it? Grab it like a sock, pull it up over your first chakra. If you're in a male body this time around, would you connect the grounding cord where your seat meets the seat you're sitting in? If you chose a female body, would you pull the grounding cord up into it, almost up to your belly button? Now, our first chakras just plug into different parts of our anatomy. So once the cord's attached to you, would you have one of your guides and angels grab the other end of the cord and pull it through the floor, extending it into the earth, going deeper and deeper, stretching farther and farther, until it finally arrives and connects right into the core of Mother Earth. Now, once you're connected, would you activate the cord? There's a big button on it right there underneath the chair within arm's reach. When you see that big button, would you push it with your psychic finger? And that will activate a gravitational pull downward. And you can succumb to it. Start to let go. Would you and your guides and angels start to focus awareness on your toes, feet, and ankles? And if there's any energy in there that is in the way of your ascension, would you allow it to start to loosen up? Maybe rock back and forth. And finally break free and go right down the cord. Even as your feet are continuing to release energy that's too low for your next ascension step, would you move your awareness from your knees to ankles? Maybe noticing that that part of you is already starting to release. Hips to knees. Just melt away anything that's too low for your next ascension step. And then your buns. Ask your guides and angels to massage those big glute muscles and any low vibrating energy that you're sitting in or on, let it go down the cord. Lower pelvic area. As you're sitting in the center of your head, would you notice your mid-tummy? All those organs in there starting to release what's too low for your next ascension step. And then your chest, your tender heart and lungs, and then your shoulders. Maybe dropping them a little bit, sitting up a little bit straighter as you release any burdens that you're shouldering about the ascension, whether it's your soul ascending, the planet ascending, you ascending, your business ascending. Let it go. Don't have to carry it. It's happening. It's a natural progression. Your neck and throat. Ask your guides and angels to remove low vibrating energy from your face. And then let's do our head. Let's start up in our brain, then the mouth. Maybe letting your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth to the bottom. Even your scalp and hair. Shoulders again, please. Shoulders to elbows. Elbows to wrists. Hands and fingers. And even as your dense physical body is continuing to release what's too low for your next ascension step, would you ask your guides and angels to come through your chakras? And even if you may not be sure where your chakras are, they do. And then would you have them comb through your aura? Nothing to do but sit in the center of your head, letting your guides and angels do all the work and continuing to release the low frequencies down into the earth. Now, some of your guides, and you might have met them in other shows here with Andy, are guides for your business. Would you have them do the very same thing to your business that they just did to you? To put a grounding cord on it and to start to release anything that's too low for its next ascension step. Now, we're going to use some clairvoyance. I'd like you to create out in front of you 2 bubbles, soap bubbles, round goldfish bowls that are empty. I think you'll get the idea. 2 clear spheres. Now, this is just a place for you to focus your awareness on so you know where to look. Now, the one on the left, that is a container for your energy. And in a moment, we're going to ask one of your main guides to confer with your higher self and to put into that sphere the color that represents where you are right now. Okay? In the other fishbowl, your higher self is going to have the color of your business. Okay, you ready? Let's ask one of your main guides to go talk to your higher self. Bring your awareness to the bubble on the left. Maybe it's more than one color. What color do you see? And if you don't see one, let one appear. Just let it happen. And notice what you notice. Now, whatever colors you're seeing, that's the energy you're running right now. If I were to look at you clairvoyantly, that's what I would see. Now, I want you to bring your awareness from the bubble on the left to the bubble on the right. And it is now filling with energy that represents the current frequency of your business. And again, it might be more than one color. When we use our clairvoyance, we see frequencies of energy as colors. So go ahead and focus on the second one. Notice the colors. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sync them. So I want you to keep looking at the two bubbles, and I want you to send your guides in and have the two bubbles the same color. But I want you to notice which one is changing to match the other one. They're about arm's length away from you, and you just start noticing that one of the spheres is changing to the color of the other. Now, if you were to do this every day, it would change. So there's nothing to memorize. It's just observing. So who's setting the pace for you right now? Is it you or is it your business? I remember during the pandemic, Golden Rose was my business was a steam locomotive. I could barely keep up with it. So I want you to notice right now, which bubble, was it you or your business that changed to match one another? So this might tell you something. This might tell you if it was your business that changed, maybe it's not a true reflection of you right now. That's okay. No shame in your game. But maybe you changed to match your business. And again, every single time you sit this meditation, it'll be different. Now, once the bubbles are the same color, let's ascend. Would you please ask your guides and angels to confer with your higher self and to start to shift your bubble, the one on the left, to your next step ascension color? Notice how it's changing. Maybe it's not changing. Maybe it's getting bigger, smaller. Just notice what you notice. There's no wrong answer. Now, have your business match your new ascension frequency. Have it start to shift to your personal ascension. Now, this is the way not to become afraid as the capitalistic, oil addicted part of the Homo sapiens existence ends. You're right along with it. So easy. And there's nothing to remember. It'll be different every single time you do this simple exercise. Now, I want you to ask your business guides and angels to stay with your business, all of it, all of the inputs and outputs of your business, whether it's a product, a service, whether you have a website, certainly your bank accounts. Have them continue to massage the elements of your business to this personal ascension color. Your business is coming with you through the ascension. And then would you have your guides and angels create over your head a big, beautiful golden sun? It's a metallic sphere, about 10 feet across, 3 meters if you're in a different part of the world. It's a container. Would you ask them to take that color of your personal ascension and put it up in the sun? Would you have them push energy into the golden sun that makes you want to do this every day? Motivation, a tap on the shoulder, asking your guides and angels to start to shift the energy of the room back to what you normally do there. And then you decide, would you send them back to the astral plane or keep them on the outside of your aura? Maybe some will go, some will stay. And then when you're ready, would you pull the golden sun down, crack it on your head, notice what it feels like, allowing the energy to start to fill you back up, to notice that you're filling up. From the center of your head, would you bring your awareness back to your toes, feet, and ankles, noticing that they're filling, your lower legs, knees and thighs, hips and buns, fill them up, lower pelvic area, mid-tummy, chest and shoulders, neck and head, upper arms, forearms, hands and fingers. Now, if you are chakra aware, if you know where your chakras are and you can sense them, as you start to allow the ascension, your ascension energy to come into your chakras, notice what you notice. Notice your first chakra. Notice your second chakra near your belly button. Your third. Your fourth at your heart. Fifth. at the throat, 6th on your forehead, and 7th. And if again you were to do this every day, you would notice which chakras are really changing, might be even straining a bit to change. And then finally noticing that the energy is filling in your aura side to side, front to back, and top to bottom, filling you in and filling you up with a feeling of good work. Well done. And when you're filled, would you start to wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch a little bit, open your eyes, and come on back. Come on out of meditation.
Yeah. Oh, that was like an internal shower. That was like a sanitization for me. That was brilliant.
Isn't it great?
Oh, it feels so great. I can actually feel the expansion and the shifting colors. That was really, really potent.
Absolutely. And the fun thing is, Andy, it'll be a different experience every single time you do it.
Yeah, really, really. I'm going to do that again and again and again. That's really, really clever. Like palpable, physical. All the visualization. It just occurred so real. I was just lost. We're going to put this on YouTube as well. And I don't know what I look like. I probably look like a nodding and bobbing, but I don't care. I don't care. Because it feels good. And I think everybody should do it. It's really good. Loren, thank you. That was a really great exercise. And I feel ascendant now. I really do. I feel like I'm at a higher level. I'm vibrating in a better place. It's really clever.
Excellent. Well, you're so welcome, Andy. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, it's just my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, you know what? You're becoming a regular, so we should have this conversation on a regular basis. We'll just pick a topic and come back every couple of months or so, whatever you're available, because I love spending time with you. So it's really great.
You know where to find me.
I sure do. Tell everybody how to get hold of you, because after hearing this and seeing this, people are going to want to connect. And I know you do courses, you do have all kinds of services. So tell everybody how to reach you and what's going on, anything that you want to talk about at this point about what you offer.
Oh, thank you for that too. So my business is goldenrosepsychic.com, but you have to spell psychic correctly. You can also Google my name. Yeah. It's all connected. Yeah, there's a lot of free stuff. I do a weekly free meditation on current events that I look out to see what's happening, and I do some energy work that helps us heal ourselves, and then we offer the healing to everybody. This is how you can express yourself as a light worker if you decide to join. And like everything at Golden Rose, because everybody's spread over the planet, everything is recorded and distributed. If you're not awake on the planet when I'm working, you can still hear the meditation. So check out goldenrosepsychic.com, and that'll point you to everything else.
Really? Okay, that's great. Dr. Loren Cielo, guys, Cielo in San Diego, but available around the world, as it turns out, thanks to the magic of the internet.
Yes. Thank you so much.
In a minute, we're going to zip on over for a little extended episode. I want to dive a little deeper on some of the topics for our supporters of the show, for WooBiz Plus members. So we'll do that in a minute. But in the meantime, thanks for being with us this week. We hope you enjoyed the time that Loren and I have spent working through the topic of ascendancy. So with that, we'll talk to you in a sec, Loren. But don't forget, guys, my name is Andy Walker. This is WooBiz, and I want you to stay in the woo. Thanks for listening this week. If you enjoyed the episode, please post a 5-star review on the platform where you found the show. That could be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Patreon.com, or any other podcatcher you may use. WooBiz theme music is by D Long. Learn more about D at DEELONG.com. The show is produced by Kay Walker and co-produced and hosted by Andy Walker. To learn more about WooBiz Plus extended episodes, go to WooBiz.net and click subscribe to WooBiz Plus at the top of the screen. You'll also find show notes for every episode of this podcast and lots more. Check it out on the web at WooBiz.net.